Welcome to the Maria Heller Show, on the net since 2000 and still going strong. If you feel like you're not getting the real news, if you feel like you're not connected spiritually, you have found your home. Maria covers a wide range of topics as only a snarky New Yorker can. Straight up, no chaser. No censorship, no corporate sponsors, thus true freedom of speech. Your subscription gives you unlimited access as a member of the smartest audience on earth. Relax and enjoy the education. Now here's Maria.
Good morning, world. Maria here, alive and kicking. Welcome to new, I was going to say News of Planet of the Apes, but I might as well call it that. But welcome to Hell and High Water with myself and Chuck Ochelli. If you're not familiar with Chuck's work, get over to Ochelli.com. There's a live link right here. One of less than 5 people I recommend these days. So that's saying a lot, believe me. I've watched so many people cave. It's unbelievable. Good morning. Good morning, Chuck.
Oh, is it, Mom?
I don't know.
I don't even know anymore.
It's a beautiful.
I'm so confused.
Listen, it's a beautiful day in the mountains here, but here it is, the end of August. It's almost Labor Day. This weekend, I think, is Labor Day. And it's going to be 97 here. I was thinking this morning when I woke up, when I moved here 15 years ago, I used my central air conditioning 2 weeks out of the summer. Now it's more like 6 months. So, when people say to me, well, you want to move back to Phoenix, I'm like, hot is hot. What's the difference where you are? I mean, if I'm running my air as long as I did in the valley, what's the difference? And yet you have so many people saying there's nothing going on with the climate or with the weather. And I'm like, do you have skin on your body? Do you have eyeballs in your head? And one of my friends who actually believes that Donald Trump has stopped the chemtrails, I have shown him personally the chemtrails every single day. Every single day. And I'm like, how can anybody say this? Do they have eyeballs in their heads? Any TV show I'm watching now, I'm trying to think what the hell I was watching the other night. Every sky you see is loaded with chemtrails. They don't even filter it out in movies or TV shows anymore.
No, well, why bother? I mean, listen, I had to laugh, and I wasn't laughing at you. I'm just laughing at yet another example of doesn't matter what the reality shows me, I believe this, therefore it is, which I'm finding ever present, especially among Trump supporters, but quite frankly, across the board, you can't. Listen, don't interrupt my good story with evidence is basically the attitude that you find prevailing all over the place. I can't, I went over this with, I don't remember if I went over this with you, but did I ever talk to you about the pedophile raids that were supposedly going on with Trump?
No.
Well, you know that's one of the common assertions. He's battling the
pedophiles.
Oh,
right. Yeah, he's one of them. Why would he be battling it?
Well, you know what? Hey, listen, I go into it objectively and say, listen, even if he is a predator, which I believe he is, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Let me see if under Trump, if the Justice Department is actually doing this stuff. Show me the articles that you keep telling me about that people say the MSM won't show it to you because they hate Trump. Okay, let's see him. So I turn around and track these things down. Mm-hmm. I make some phone calls, Maria. Okay, you call people in the state of Florida and law enforcement. They have sunshine laws in various places. You can try and track these things down, and this is the kind of crazy thing I waste my time with. So I want to find out about these great raids where they picked up dozens of these pedophiles and the rings and the kiddie porn rings and all this stuff that Trump is allegedly conducting from behind the scenes because he's a great warrior. And you know what I found out?
Yeah.
That I was able to make contact in 4 out of 5 cases. And I got one basically telling me that if there was an ongoing investigation, they could not comment on it, but that they would not explain or expose anything right now. That was the state of Florida with the highest level of sunshine laws you could imagine. Okay, but in Virginia, let me think. There was 2 other states: Virginia, California, and Florida, and there was one more, and I can't recall it off the top of my head. But I very carefully, over the course of a couple of days, made phone calls, got in touch with these people, and you know what the reality of those raids are, Maria?
What?
They didn't happen.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So it's just fabricated nonsense. Trump stopped the chemtrails. Well, it's funny because I can look up and see him here in Georgia. You see him in Arizona. My friends see him in California. So where did that happen?
Right. Exactly. Well, you know what really gets me even more than that is that log cabin Republicans honestly believe that Trump has done great things for the gay community.
Well, what?
That's what I say. And you know what? When I argued this with someone in my own family, she sent me this stupid ass article off some religious website about the log cabin people, you know, backing him and all these great things he's done. None of them were factual. And when I sent her from Out magazine, which is a gay magazine, how the one of the leaders of Log Cabin just resigned because she can't explain herself to her kids anymore, I got crickets in return.
Well, but see, that's what you get when you show them something that contradicts their echo chamber. And I'm not trying to be offensive to your family member here, but that's all there is to it anymore. It's, I'm in my echo chamber. This is what I believe. So no matter what you say, like the whole thing with Epstein, right? Which I am so tired of talking about. But let's hit it one more time since his victims go to court today and they're making statements.
Yeah, but what good is that? You know what I mean? What good is their statements going to do? He's already locked up all his money with his supposed will that he signed 2 days before to prevent any of his victims from getting it. So what good is it? Just so they can say they had their day in court?
No, you're exactly right. Okay, and I want to hear from them. They should be on the record. But you know, whatever it is they can do to put on the record the reality of what happened, I support it. But is it going to do any good? No. You're right. He turned over his money to his brother, allegedly, in this last-minute will thing that he did. They're still looking into how it is this guy died. What was funny to me is, immediately he dies, and look, Clinton got him.
Right.
Clinton got him. Well, let me ask you a question about Clinton not being in power, not being in control of the DOJ, not being in control of the Department of Prisons, and I forget what it is, Department of Prisons and something else, but you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
It is the Trump administration in control of all those agencies, of that prison. That's not even one of those privately owned, privately run prisons. That's a federal pen. No. Okay? That is not even, you got to be kidding me. This is under the control of the Trump administration. It is either ineptitude or it is purposeful, willful allowance of this guy to commit suicide if he wasn't suicided or murdered. Because, by the way, seems like the cameras are not very useful, are they, Maria?
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, listen, with the whole camera debacle, first thing I thought of was all the cameras that were not working when Princess Diana was assassinated, and all the cameras that weren't working, especially at the Pentagon on 9/11.
Well, you know, 9/11, I could tell you about a camera that was magically turned off. You ever watch a JFK assassination documentary, and there's always the very same film of the motorcade where you see the back of the limo and the back of the cars, and they're moving through the streets of Dallas, and they get almost to the point where the book depository is in view.
Right.
You ever see that film? And it's really good-looking professional film. It was filmed by a White House photographer who had a movie camera, a professional-grade movie camera, on him at the time. Now, even the famous images of the Newmans covering up the children on the grassy knoll come from that man's film in the aftermath of the assassination. Here's the problem. Is there any film of the assassination according to the government agency that has possession of it, according to the documentary? No. So what you're telling me is that all the way leading up to the assassination, in the aftermath of the assassination, at Parkland Hospital, all the way through the streets of Dallas, at the airport, all these different places, cameras are running under the control of this White House photographer who happened to have been a trained Navy photographer. But during the critical moments, no film, huh?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
No worries.
But they had plenty of film. They had plenty of film of Jack Ruby shooting Lee Harvey Oswald. They played that over and over and over again. And that's how they program people's minds. That's how they, when they start repeating, like, the building's collapsing at ground zero over and over, it's just to reinforce the official lie.
Well, see, I was talking about that last night, and again, the things that are forgotten about that particular time period. It is amazing to watch how people are programmed and how people come to accept things which were previously quite unacceptable, one way or another, right? And this ties all the way back into all this craziness where we're now seeing these, self-replicating, self-imposed echo chambers that insulate people from the actual reality.
Right.
This is all there is to it anymore. People select their reality, and then they collect into it what it is that'll support it, and that's it.
Well, it's how they
cannot breach.
Right. It's how Christians use the Bible. You know what I mean? They just cherry pick whatever they want and discount the rest of it.
Well, again, it's not good to kill children. It's not good to destroy an entire people. I mean, Jesus would not necessarily support that, but it's okay to kill the Palestinians, you understand? Right. Because you cannot question the state of Israel. Oops, are we going to get banned somewhere now, Maria? I think we are.
I'm constantly banned. So I think tomorrow I'm off my second, in 2 months, my second 30-day ban on Facebook in 2 months.
Oh, wow.
So, Twitter, I'm gone forever. And yet Trump keeps his Twitter account because he brings that money coming in, And that's, like the media. I mean, covering Trump 24 hours a day. I'm sick of seeing Trump on TV. It's like every time you turn it on. And I long for the days where we have an invisible president. I don't want to see our president every day, let alone a lunatic who's insulted and destroyed the entire world and will continue to, until his boss, Satan, tells him to stop.
Well, what's funny about that is if he was coherent about it, if it made sense what the man was doing, I would just say, look, he's evil. I don't know what he is anymore, to be honest with you. I mean, I tried to have this debate last night on my show, and I said, look, open question, because I got my own views as to why this is happening. But I asked two different guys who were on the line with me, two people that had called in, and I said, look, tell me what is wrong with this guy. That's all I want to know. We all know something's wrong with him. Right. Okay? You tell me what you think is wrong with him. And the one guy happened to have been in a wheelchair, and I said, look, we're both handicapped people, right? Is he handicapped, or is he just, I don't know, something else? You tell me, what do you think? Right? And nobody can satisfactorily sort it out as to what exactly is wrong with him. But finally, a whole lot of people who were sitting back and saying, look, one clown is as good as another, is now sitting there and saying, something is wrong with this man. And I said, look, we could go for the most benign explanation, which could be a senility. And look, let's be honest, Maria, not everybody lives like you. I mean, you're a powerful creature. Okay?
Right.
But at your age, you know very well that a lot of people who don't take care of themselves, their minds begin to slip. And listen, you don't have Grandpa running a lot of things because he's got to get to an age where he's got to relax because he can't mentally do it anymore. And the physical beating from doing certain things is not palpable any longer. I mean, like I said, not many people in your age range are Superman. So to me, I keep wondering why it is that we keep putting up these old men who are clearly at least partially disabled. I mean, because I'm thinking of Joe Biden here too, right?
Well, yeah.
Why do we keep doing this?
But then you got Bernie, who's certainly got his full faculties, without question of a doubt. Bernie, I think because, listen, I tell people this all the time. Your brain is another muscle, okay? If you don't use it, it atrophies. Years ago, I had, I believe it was Dr. Michael Grieger of Physicians for Responsible Medicine on my show. And what he had said, and I mean, God, this had to be almost 20 years ago. What he said is that a lot of Alzheimer's disease is actually misdiagnosed mad cow disease. He says you could have gotten it. It does the same destruction to your brain. And at that time, I hadn't been a vegan for 20 years. And I went paranoid when he said a bad burger you had 15 years ago could create it. And I was like counting the years till I was safe from those 15 years. And I was like, holy shit. But you know what? Like my son said to me, he doesn't know anybody that uses their brain more than I do, because he knows even when I'm relaxing, I'm doing a crossword puzzle, I'm playing a word game. My friend called me yesterday, goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm reading a book." Okay. And then when we met for coffee, I said to him, "How many people do you call today that say they're reading a book?" All right.
Reading a book. That's a funny thing, because I struggle to do that, but I do it all the time. Right. I'm constantly reading a couple of books. I usually have a few of them that I'm working on at a time, because I can only go so far and I rest. Right. But I do that continuously, and I have to keep more than one book open because, quite frankly, I get bored.
Right.
So,
right. Well,
there's that, plus the research and everything I do for the show. I mean, look, my brain is fine. But what's funny is, like I said, people that don't utilize their faculties. And Bernie's an interesting case. His brain is okay, but, his body might give out.
hey, I don't know. I saw him playing softball at Field of Dreams, which I thought was so cool that they're actually using the actual spot in Iowa to play that softball game, which, of course, the media didn't cover. I think there was one reporter there. But
Right.
Bernie was swinging pretty good. Listen, that was one of my favorite movies, so it was like a double thrill for me. But, Bernie's leading in the polls no matter how much the mainstream media is trying to pre-declare Joe Biden the next president.
Well, except for that latest Monmouth poll, which switched it around. I think it had Warren and Bernie beating him, didn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. So, and now you got that other lunatic, Joe Walsh, who said he's going to run against Trump. So for me, it's like watching the snake eat its own tail.
Well, that's almost hilarious, because between that guy and the other one who disappeared on the Appalachian Trail,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
you want to talk about, can you actually have a primary challenging stalking horse? Is that something that can be done here?
Well, you know that Trump tried to pass an executive order that no one in the Republican Party can run against him in the primary.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. A couple of months ago, I reported it on my show. But obviously, a few Republicans are saying, screw you and what you have to say. I don't know that he ever did the executive order, but he did basically demand that, like he's demanding businesses leave China, except his and his daughters. He thinks he can just demand what he wants. And truthfully, he can, because no Republicans are standing up to him.
Well, see, that's the problem with a guy who thinks he can buy Greenland. That's the problem with a guy who thinks he can just, hold a G7 summit and turn it into a G8 summit because he's going to have it at his golf course. That's the problem with this guy, is that nobody's stopping him.
Right.
See, that's the thing about toddlers and criminals, right, that they have in common.
Right.
If you don't stop them...
Right. If you don't set boundaries, don't pull your hair out saying, why is my kid so wild? Every parent I've ever counseled all these years, I said, listen, children need boundaries. Okay? Don't complain if your kid turns out to be a wombat because you fell asleep on the job. So you look at Trump and what he gets away with, and then, am I the only one, Chuck, or have you noticed also the extreme absence of Nancy Pelosi?
Yes. That's odd. Okay,
I know.
But I think, again, that what we're looking at is she didn't want to be pressured anymore about getting rid of this guy.
But I think you got 133 or 136 Democrats now who are for impeachment. What are they waiting for? There's a million reasons to impeach him. The first and easiest one is the 25th Amendment. The guy's nuts.
Listen, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Here's the problem. If you really think the Democrats are actually in opposition, see, that's the problem.
Well,
they're all part of the same equation.
Well, not
They're
all
gonna
of
get rid
them.
him.
Not all of them. Look at the ones that the Democrats themselves are attacking. Okay, regular people like you and me that got elected, that are not multimillionaires, that are not signing the agreement to put Israel first. So they're getting demonized by their own party. And I said it before, I'll say it again. All the old people need to be gone. And I don't mean physically old. If you're in that office more than 8 years and you've accomplished diddly squat, get the hell out.
No, exactly. But the thing is that the Democratic Party in general is not in opposition. There is a handful of them. Yes, there's a handful of people that are thinking for themselves. that got in there.
And they
There's
won't
a handful
last.
of people.
Right, and they won't last. They'll push them out like they did Cynthia McKinney or Dennis Kucinich. You know, Dennis Kucinich,
Precisely.
when he was in office, was the only one to create a Department of Peace. Where's that department now? Whoever on the planet, from here to Brazil to China, North Korea, you name it, who's talking about peace?
Well, nobody.
Exactly. You know, when I was a kid, it was, give peace a chance, power to the people, and I look at this world now and I'm like, what the hell happened? You know?
Well, I urge people to look back at a lot of the speeches that were given by President Kennedy. Now, I recognize that he did not write them all, but trust me, he was the overbearing editor and the person who wanted them written. A guy named Ted Sorensen wrote a lot of those speeches, but if you take a look at the American University speech just before his death, you take a look at various speeches between 1962 and 63, we had a president at that time who was talking about peace, who was talking about abolishing war in general, who was talking about abolishing the weapons,
Right.
who was talking about, making cooperative efforts as humanity could move forward collectively, as opposed to being in competition and battling with one another for supremacy all the time. Now,
Right.
to my
Well, don't
knowledge-
forget or leave out that, in a way, he was a big environmentalist, too. I remember that one speech where he says, we're all one people. We all breathe the same air. We all drink the same water.
Right.
And then, of course, even though, I was a kid and didn't care for it at the time, he brought physical fitness into the schools. Physical fitness is
That's
gone, okay? I mean, believe me, there was nobody that hated gym class more than I did. I hated the ugly uniforms we had to wear. I didn't mind the exercise, but I certainly minded the ugly uniforms we had to wear. But you look at our kids today, they're growing up on junk. They're eating poison. We're all loaded with microplastics. Now they found microplastics in, Lake Tahoe. And, you look at these kids, they're all drugged out. You got school shootings, now they got guns in school. So one first grader pulled the gun that's supposed to be there to protect the class and took it out of the case and started pointing it around. What does a little kid know? We have devolved as a society. Gandhi said it so many years ago. You can judge a civilization by how they treat their animals and prisoners. What else do you need to know about America? We are uncivilized.
No, this is all true, and it's unfortunate. But like I said, people are not going to be made aware of this on a mass scale because they have these self-imposed imprisonments that are echo chambers where they have selected their reality. Mm-hmm. Now, on the one hand, I almost don't want to object to it because it's a good thing to abstain from some of the madness that that you and I do find ourselves getting exhausted.
Oh, yeah.
Having to observe, okay, on occasion. But on the other hand, you're not connected with the world around you.
Right.
And this is the problem. You've got to unfortunately observe some of the things that are distasteful to you. You gotta understand that maybe some of your beliefs are not necessarily the reality. You have to begin to embrace what is in order to have any chance at changing it. You can't simply create another reality and retreat into it and stay in fantasy.
Absolutely.
This is a problem. And I don't know how to address it, quite honestly, Mom. It's really becoming one of those obstacles that quite frankly, I mean, it becomes demoralizing.
Wow. Listen, this is why I keep telling my audience, you only have your spirituality to fall back on. If your spirituality and understanding of the nature of things, the understanding of a holographic universe, the understanding of, yes, there is life after this nightmare is over. If people don't beef up their spirituality, there is absolutely no way you could stay in balance on this planet. Somebody asked me, what kind of spiritual teacher are you that you talk about politics, this, that, the other thing? And I'm like, it takes me back to like 1988. In 1988, through a series of happenstance, I got to spend 3 days with Sun Bear at one of his seminars. So here I am, I'm just a spiritual person, an environmentalist, a painter, and I can't wait to spend 3 days with this beautiful spiritual man. What I was surprised about is he spent most of the time talking about world conditions, the environment, overpopulation, how to live in nature, on and on. I was thinking to myself, why is this guy talking about politics and all this other stuff? But then he made it very clear, you cannot be a spiritual person on this planet and not be aware of everything going on the planet. And when he said, my students will eventually have all the gifts I have, I at that time said, there's no way I could be like him. There's no way I could do what he does. And then, I would say maybe 15 years into doing radio, one day I had the realization that I was doing exactly what Sun Bear did. So for me, my show is a respite for people. I know the news is hard to hear, but the truth of the matter is I'm encouraging them all the time to step out of the illusion, because if you get trapped by it, you're doomed. You're done. You're going to be just like everybody else, believing whatever they tell you to believe until you die, and then you create your own hell after you die because you don't know you didn't have to do it.
All absolute truths, Mom. This is the thing, and this is why it's impossible for me to really give up at this point.
Right. I remember
a lot of
years.
Days I want to.
Oh, well, it's easy to want to give up. Listen, I watched this comedian from England the other night. Netflix has a shitload of just stand-up comedy, and sometimes it's fun to just watch. And he was a fairly
it's great to, great to just do that.
Yeah, yes. I don't know what his name is. He's cute, he's young, curly hair, gay kid. And it was interesting because I would assume he's maybe 30. And one of his friends said, what are you going to be, what are you going to be doing when you're 79? And the kid goes, how long am I going to have to be here? How many more days do I have to find something to do? And, I understand that feeling, from a young person, I think to myself, wait till you're my age. Okay, if you think this trip has been a disaster, wait till you're my age. But, when people have to remember, we are only, David Icke, many years ago when I interviewed David, he said something really cool. I don't remember which one of his millions of books it was from. But he says, you have to look at this reality we're living in as putting a DVD in your DVD player. He says, but be happy because we're getting to the final credits of the movie. And that's truly where we are. We're at the final credits. Man has proven that they cannot steward themselves. They've proven they cannot steward a planet. They've proven that they don't deserve the beauty, the animals, the plants, the minerals, the air, the sky, everything about this planet. So this experiment or game, reality game, will never be repeated. Okay, not in any universe, because it's been a failure, sort of like the experiment of America. I consider America a failed experiment. So, at the end of the game, if you're lucky enough to get to go home and get off this planet, never come back. That's the simple solution. Why would you play a game that sucked from start to finish? Go to a different game. I recommend Wordscapes for anybody out there that likes to play games on their iPads.
Well, I don't know that game, but it's because I don't have an iPad. But quite frankly, there's a lot of other games that I can imagine that that I think would be a whole lot more productive and enjoyable than this one. So I'm with you on that as well.
Man will never be allowed off this planet. The Earth is quarantined. I believe that. And people that listen to the show, you can read that in Michael Rakia's latest book, The Space Between Things. And I've always believed humans should never be allowed off this planet because all we do is destroy. We destroy everything. I mean, today I saw the article about the last white male rhino that died. So, boom, that's extinct. Yesterday, I said that plants are becoming extinct at 350 times the normal rate, let alone the microplastics they found in the Antarctic, in Lake Tahoe, inside our bodies, inside fish. Russia trying to
everywhere.
blame their nuclear isotopes in the air on they ate bad fish from Fukushima, not the fact that they had another nuclear meltdown. So, so I mean, you look at the world and you say humans truly don't deserve this planet. That was something I think Michael Rennie said in the old black and white movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Where he played a Martian, even though he looked very human, in like a really cheap outer space suit. But I think at the end of the movie, he said, we're going to take this planet because you people truly don't deserve it. And that was like in the 50s that movie was made. So think about how far we've come since then, where everything is polluted.
See, that's the interesting case, right? And even when we take a look at what's going on now, which we're probably coming up toward the break, but when we get back from the break, I think we're going to have to talk about some of the headlines
Absolutely.
that go way beyond. And here's the thing: plastic. You're going, well, there's plastic in the fish, and there's plastic in this. Like, it's everywhere.
It's in our air. Now they gotta figure out how much plastic is safe to be inside our bodies. Well, what are they gonna do to get it out if it's not? Okay. Tell that to the people in New Jersey who just found out they have more lead in their water than Flint, Michigan had. Okay.
Yeah.
Infrastructure. Yeah, sure. They'll never fix the infrastructure. Anyway, you're right. Let's take a break, Chuck. And when we come back, I want to kick off with what's going on in the Amazon and Bolsonaro. So stay with us. Yeah. Chuck and I will be right back.
Our founders said that it is our duty as a free republic to be an informed citizen. To that end, Meria works tirelessly to inform you about all that is going on in the world and what you can do about it. She has never sold out or bought into the system. She's here just like the rest of you, trying to figure things out. Thus, there is no corporate control of her work, just you, the subscriber. Meria offers many options to subscribe, and all are free to choose the senior plan if your budget cannot afford the others. We're the ones we've been waiting for, so don't wait any longer. Subscribe today at meria.net.
Okay, welcome back to Hell and High Water with myself and Chuck Ochelli. And as promised, we're going to do a runaround. But I do want to mention that during the break, out of the blue, Chuck and I started talking about Dave McGowan. And for any new listeners out there, please go in and listen to Dave McGowan's stuff is usually all under Send in the Clowns. That's what we called our segment. And I was very happy to have Dave exclusively on my show for 14 years because he didn't trust anybody else. What amazes me, Chuck, is that when I go on Dave McGowan fan pages on Facebook when I'm allowed, and I see all the crap people are posting there that Dave would probably go into a state of shock over, I get attacked, okay? Nobody knew Dave's work better than I did, so I don't even pay attention to the lunacy that's going on there. There's just lunacy going on everywhere. It's a blessing to be off Facebook for 30 days at a time, now 60. So I'm like, God, this is like Lunatic Central. Everything on Facebook is Lunatic Central. But I have found out how to report other people and their annoying fake news posts. So that's what I do when I'm banned. I ban the people that I assume have gotten me banned. And it's actually quite fun.
Well, listen, that's another game you can play.
Right.
So, hey, by the way, did you happen to see the ink sketch I did of you?
No, send it to me.
I'm gonna have to scan it and send it out to you because I put it up in a video because I'm doing these little ink sketches to thank some of the listeners if they contribute to me for. It's only until the end of August that I'm doing this, but
well, send me the video because you know what? I thought it was bullcrap on Facebook where people are private messaging saying, "I think you're in this video," and I just figured that's another troll bullshit thing, so I never even looked at it. Okay. Yeah, absolutely send it to me. I mean, I don't trust anything on Facebook. I just ignore. I actually made the page private like my Instagram when I come back because I'm over it. Because
it's so funny.
I've been cyber attacked on Instagram. My granddaughter said, I can't believe they're cyber attacking my grandmother. And I mean, this is the world we live in. Anyway, speaking of the world we live in, back in the 60s, there was a song in the year 2525. If anybody hasn't ever heard that song, you might want to actually YouTube it. And I always thought 2525 was super optimistic. But here we are, okay? It was a song of predictions. And here we have the Amazon on fire, deliberately on fire, Bolsonaro's goals to clear it for industry and McDonald's burgers, and that's 20% of the world's oxygen. Then he said today that Europe, first he said he was going to take $22 million in aid, which is a joke when I think one movie star, I'm trying to think, Leonardo DiCaprio, donated, right, he donated $5 million. 7 of the richest countries on earth come up with $22 million. They came up more with the church in Notre Dame, which will never be rebuilt. Then people give a shit about the fact that our oxygen is burning. And Bolsonaro today says he's not going to take it. He wants an apology from Macron because they got into it over their wives. And and he said Europe can fix the problem by plant more trees in Europe. That was his answer today. I understand, though, that Trump's going to send them some rakes.
Well, maybe he will, because if they rake up the leaves, right? Wasn't that the way to prevent forest fires?
Right. He wouldn't help California, but he wants to help Russia, and he wants to help Brazil with their fires.
Well, not really. And you know what? It's really amazing, again, to witness the oddity of the echo chambers, right? So bear with me a second. We're now looking at another heavy storm possibly bearing down on Puerto Rico that never actually got to recover from Hurricane Maria.
Right.
Okay?
I had nothing to do with it. I had nothing to do with it.
No, I know, but I just figured I'd point that out, because that was the name of the hurricane that devastated Puerto Rico.
I know.
And then if you recall, Trump, well, we don't need to help them, right?
Right.
They're not, somebody had to explain to him, hey, look, it's part of America, pal.
Right.
You need to do something.
Right. Let their president take care of it. What a moron.
Yeah, of course. But anyway, there's that going on. Yeah, the Amazon's on fire. Leonardo DiCaprio gives $5 million. Now that $20 million or whatever that Macron pledged, Bolsonaro there turns around and says, look, we don't even want it.
No, of course not. He deliberately wants to. He promised to destroy that, and he's doing it. I try to warn people that he was Trump, the Latino version of Trump, but nobody wanted to hear it. Even people that I read for, that I have sessions with in Brazil, thought this guy was going to be great. He was going to be great for the environment. And I'm like, are we living on different planets? I feel that way when I talk to a lot of people, whether they're gay and defending, Trump, and I'm like, are we living two different realities here? Are we on the same planet? That's my new answer to people. Are we living on the same planet? And you,
yeah.
So
I got to keep asking the same question. You look at what's the situation in Italy, right?
Right.
And Italy's a mess. And gee, lo and behold, it's another guy who's the Italian Trump, pretty much, taking lots of Russian money.
Right.
Right.
Right. And even though he resigned, why was he at the G7?
Yeah, I know. Well, what's the difference anyway? Because Trump wants to hold it at the Doral next.
That's another thing. What's one of the stories going around today? What's Trump, the president of the United States, busying himself with today? He's defending his scummy hotel, the Doral, which is in financial soup right now, and saying, because one guy posted pictures, which I saw, of all the bedbug bites he got staying at the Doral Hotel. And Trump is spending today defending his hotel, saying they don't have bed bugs. This is what he concerns himself with. And of course, let's not leave out, let's throw a nuclear weapon into a hurricane to stop it.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, look, coming from the guy who says that we can bomb a hurricane with nukes, and that'll be a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
And also telling us that Melania loves Kim Jong-un, even though nobody can confirm that she ever met him. It's pretty interesting.
Hey, it seemed like Melania got to know, or would like to get to know, Justin Trudeau a whole lot better than Kim Jong-un, as I'm sure you saw that picture floating around all over social media.
Yes, I did. But look, can you blame her?
No, are you kidding? After being married to that beast, I mean, even a pile of steaming hot dog shit would look better. So I'm like, let's face it, if you don't think that she knows everything that he has done, after all, she was, I don't even know what number wife she is. I don't know if she's third, or I think she's third. But she did the same thing to his previous wife that was done to his previous wife. She's well aware, Stormy Daniels, all the rest of it, Karen McDougal. And, what does he do? Bring her out just for, once every couple of months to air her out? Where is she the rest of the time? Is she staying at the Mayflower Hotel like a lot of their wives do?
See, I don't know. She does have to come out to go to France to taste the wine so that he can make that statement after he threatens to do tariffs, which that's all going so well. By the way, Maria, I can't get, and I was going to make hats for my show. I can't get those done at a reasonable price anymore, I'll tell you that. And seems to me like sneaker manufacturers, bicycle manufacturers, farmers, a whole lot of the people that, were very much in support of this guy are now going to suffer under the yoke of these tariffs. And
some of them are still, some of them are still supporting him. And you look at Lindsey Graham, he just says the farmers need to learn to just eat this. That's basically what he said. Stop your whining. They tell them, stop your whining. Okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they have nowhere to sell their products. Russia is the only one that seems to be benefiting by this trade war. And don't think for a second that his idea to buy Greenland was just a flash in the pan, because that would be a great geopolitical spot for Russia. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you got to look at whose bidding is he doing. And I know there are people out there, sadly, that want to blame everything on Israel and say that everything about Russia is a hoax. I do not agree with that. Okay?
No.
So I want to put that out there right now. I do not agree with that. We started the show, Chuck, talking about, this bullshit. Trump's going after the pedophile rings. He's going after the deep state. Well, you expect that on bullshit sites like QAnon and the rest of the lunatics, the lunacy fringe out there. But a lot of people that used to be good alternative news are also on that bandwagon now. So they all bought the Kool-Aid. They bought it, drank it through Trump straws, and that was that.
You kidding me? Now they're selling QAnon coin, okay? Digital currency and silver and gold. No kidding. You know this, right?
No, I mean, I don't pay attention to digital money. I mean, to me, cash in the hand is all I'm interested in. Because when the shit hits the fan, you better have cash in the hand or you're going to be starving. That or a lot of bullets, one of the two. I forget who was on my show that said, we were talking about gold and silver. God, it was such a long time ago. I don't remember who he was, but he said something really good. I said, what do you think about all these people, telling people buy gold, buy silver, this and that? And he said to me, my opinion, invest in the best weapons you can, because whoever has the guns is getting the gold. I thought that was interesting, to say the least. And I was like, okay, people forgot during World War II that they confiscated everybody's gold.
Well, again, logical pragmatism prevails. Here's the fact. If you had a real serious breakdown and the economy doing what it's doing, which is another amazing thing that people are in denial about, very suddenly the MSM is beginning to say, there's questions about the economy. Do you know for the past 2 years I've been trying to explain this on my show, that there is a delusional economy and that, no matter how you slice this, no matter what metric you use, people are not actually, they gin these numbers up and they tell you about the economy recovering. The fact is that that's not what's happening. They just started recognizing this in the past couple of weeks in the financial papers and everything else, which is hilarious. They are saying stuff now that I was saying a year ago, 2 years ago, about exactly what's happening with these trends.
Right.
But here's the thing. If we had an ultimate breakdown, one thing I can guarantee you is that me having a shotgun, I'm not going to be hungry. Okay?
Well, you know what else
is simple.
Well, what else is interesting? You look at David Koch that died this week, 79. I guess he didn't use the same doctors as David Rockefeller or the rest of them or the Pope. But there wasn't one positive comment on him. And everybody's saying that his brother has to be looking at what they're saying about the death of his brother and getting nervous. People, I mean, I had a story yesterday on the news show of, I forget the amount, 70% of Americans are pissed off and super angry at the rich. Now, I have predicted for years that we're going to see a redo of Gangs in New York where regular people just start attacking the rich. And no matter what, they're just never going to be able to hire enough protection. But people have woken up to the fact, after me doing the show for 20 years, they've woken up to the fact of who the problem is. Just like Donald Jeffries' book, Survival of the Richest, points out. So it's just a matter of time. You know, you look at the NRA, you know, their leaders from Wayne Pierre to the woman in charge. They beefed up security around their homes because they're scared shit. But you know what? We got numbers on our side. And I learned as a teenager, there's power in numbers.
You know, this is true, and I think about that when, you know, there's this planned storming of Area 51 that's supposed to come up. But, you know, that's the comedy of it.
They should storm the White House. That's what needs to be stormed.
Well, you know what? You're right. And again, that's what I said about the whole thing in Hong Kong, which is very confusing, by the way. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's still happening.
Oh, yeah, it's getting very violent.
But here's our ultimate problem in this equation, Maria, and that is, you know, I forget who initially said it, but I've heard it repeated over and over again, that effectively, listen, we'll just hire one half of the poor to kill the other half.
Well, they've always wanted to do that. Even Napoleon Bonaparte, many centuries ago, said that religion was invented to keep the poor from murdering the rich. Well, today we have a lot of people. We have more nuns, N-O-N-E-S, than we do people in religion. So, you know, to me, I put all these things I know together in my brain and I come to, you know, my own logical conclusion of where this can go. But how many times have you and I talked about when you've asked me, you know, what do you think the big issues are? And I've said it a million times. There's only two issues that matter. The real and present nuclear danger and the destruction of the planet. Because with either one of them, all the other issues become non-existent because we're non-existent.
Well, that's true, but what they're doing right now and what they have successfully done by allowing these, you know, again, these self-imposed personalized echo chambers, the fact that they've actually been able to codify a movement behind this moron in the White House, the fact that you have a completely, you know, non-coherent left, the fact that you have a just no opposition really to the corporatism. What they've been able to do at this point, though, is keep us busy with that axiom about having half the poor basically poised to kill the other half.
Well, that's been around since...
We are now put at each other's throats to such an interesting degree here where, yes, the violence in and of itself has not been fully set off. But we are poised for exactly this, to keep us very busy so that we never, ever get to being able to deal with those two issues you just brought up, which are inevitable poisons that destroy all things here. I don't know, maybe these people feel as though they're going to make it to Mars before it all goes bad.
Yeah, good luck with that. But they'll never get off this planet. Now they found some other things that are even worse than the Van Allen belts that they say will give them a problem going into space. So, you know, but everybody wants to believe what they believe, but you can go back. I'm trying to think who it was in 1956. God, what were we just talking about? Because I think about Lyndon Johnson, too, with his Civil Rights Act, when he actually had a statement. I can't say it verbatim, but he actually said the best way to convince somebody to be happy with their poverty or whatever is to make them feel like they're better than somebody else. Mm-hmm. And that's how, blacks are inferior came to, be promoted besides, the origin of this country. But here we go, 1956, Khrushchev, which a lot of people don't remember. I remember Khrushchev banging his shoe on the table at the UN saying, we will bury you. but he also said that we will destroy America from the inside out. So like Zionists, with their protocols of Zion, where they never lose track, like the evangelicals from Mike Pompeo to William Barr, who's Opus Dei, and their push for theocracy, they never gave up. You look at all these things, and Russia, okay, so it took them from 1956 to get this puppet in office to destroy us from the inside out. But these people, you got to give them credit. They stay on task. They don't care how long it's going to take for them to achieve their goals.
This is true. This is true, and unfortunately, that has been the program for a very long time. It has progressed, very much like a fungus. It just grows until it consumes the thing that it is attached to, and this is what has happened. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what to make of it anymore, as far as trying to make people aware that your superiority complexes are too complex for reality. You cannot assume any of these things, any of these constructs that they have handed down to keep us divided and to assure us that, again, one half of the poor is certainly engaged and hired one way or another, not necessarily monetarily, but in another way, to be poised to destroy the other half. We are meant to be kept at each other's throats so that we do not ever turn to the people that are really causing the problems and the problems they've created. It's a funny thing about this Amazon burning, because I saw people say all over the place, look, the lungs of the planet are burning. Immediately, the climate deniers come out and go, well, that's not really where your oxygen comes from. It comes from this plankton, which is, throughout the oceans. And I'm thinking to myself, well, but what does it matter if it's all being destroyed?
Right, we're killing the ocean. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the pictures of the Caribbean just covered in plastic bottles and waste and garbage. It's been proven years ago that the ocean was at capacity. It's burping carbon dioxide back into the air. Can't absorb anymore. Right. The disappearing coral reef, the acidity of the ocean changing because of the melting glaciers. So listen, I'm not saying this is man-caused. Some of it is normal for the planet. What I'm saying is people deny what they see, smell, and taste. And I don't even understand that. Like, I started this out saying, I used to put my air conditioner on 2 weeks out of the month. I'm at 5,000 feet above sea level, out of the summer. Now it's constant. It's on every day, and it started in April. It's the Labor Day, and it's still on because we're supposed to be 97 today. People have to wake up, but I think they'll wake up too late. So my suggestion... Yeah, the heat index and the smog index and the pollution. And meanwhile, we have the total destruction of the EPA happening under Trump, and nobody's paying attention to that either.
Which is a sick, sad commentary, considering that it was, Richard Nixon who created that agency, I think.
Right. And yesterday Trump said he's an environmentalist.
For what environment?
I don't know. Maybe Mars. Maybe Mars, I don't know. But, he tried to say that he couldn't make the climate meeting at the G7 because he had a meeting with Angela Merkel and the leader of India, when there's a million pictures online of Angela Merkel and the leader of India sitting next to his empty chair.
Yeah, I know.
So...
But then again, Melania loves Kim Jong-un, and, French wine is okay now, and don't worry about any of this stuff because we're winning the tariff war with China, and... Yeah.
Listen, I've had experts on my show for years say if we ever got into a war with China, there's no way we would win. No way. And that's the truth of it. They can outmaneuver us, outpeople us every which way you can, because unlike us, they haven't been wasting their resources in an 18-year illegal war.
That's the other thing that everybody forgets. But, of course, those casualties are starting to mount, and what are we going to do there? We're getting ready to hand that back over to the Taliban.
Right, making a deal with the people we went in to wipe out, and now ISIS is back in full force. Remember, Trump said he was going to get rid of ISIS in 30 days.
I thought they were defeated.
Yeah, that's what he said a couple of months ago, that he wiped ISIS out. Well, they're stronger than ever, so now we have to make a deal with the Taliban to keep the ISIS under control. So
there is one piece of good news environmentally, though. The coral reef, the major coral reef, which is dying, down there in Oceania. Apparently there's a piece of rock which is broken free from another place that is going to pick up organisms and possibly repopulate that coral reef. Did you see that story?
I saw that, and I saw a story of a huge amounts of giant rocks floating towards Australia.
Right.
So who knows what's going to happen there. But hey, everything is good. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see. Move on. But to me, listen, we're still living in exciting times because what we're witnessing is just off the charts. Think about all the stories we will have to tell off planet when we're finally out of this very bad DVD. So the end credits can't come soon enough. And the nice thing about those end credits
you were talking about earlier, Maria,
right.
The really nice thing about it is that you actually, during that portion of the movie, get to learn the names of the people that are actually responsible. So I'm looking forward to that rolling over my screen.
Well, it'll
just
happen
before I depart this planet.
Well, Chuck, I hope this wasn't too depressing a show. It's just reality. And I'm happy that, the people that do support our work are awake. And remember, it's only ever taken 1% to change this world. So maybe we're just coming to that 1% now. I'm counting on the millennials. If they can't pull it out, then it's curtains time. That's the way I see it. Anyway, Chuck, you take good care, and we'll talk soon.
Absolutely, Mom. Thanks again.
You're welcome. Bye. Chuck Ochelli. Check his work out at Ochelli.com. Listen, don't be afraid. This is a planet that's just set to negative energy. Fear is what they want. You're here to enjoy your life. You're not here for a long time. You're here for a good time. So, as you prepare for the big Labor Day weekend or whatever it is you're going to be doing, just have some fun. Because, listen, you could get hit by a truck tomorrow, and what did it all matter? Okay? Balance is key. So, I'm always available to talk with you guys, to encourage you, to give you some direction, but I can't force you to do that. Anyway, I will see you guys next time when I'm back with the news.
Thank you for listening and supporting The Meria Show. Tell others what you learned today. Knowledge becomes wisdom only when it's shared. Encourage others to subscribe today. www.meria.net. Often imitated, never duplicated. A world of information all in one place. www.meria.net. Always ahead of the curve. Always on your side. Get active or get radioactive. Subscribe today.